Why is there? Yeah. Sir, namaskar.
नमस्कार
When is
नमस्कार
Good evening, everyone. We are just waiting for everybody to join in and to settle. Yeah,
Professor Banerjee is a very senior earth scientist, and he is in all our geological programs. Sir is very knowledgeable, and his inputs are very useful for all of us.
telling
Thank
you
you.
this is very old.
No, no, no. Age is a number, sir. We call him Shah Rukh Khan of geology.
Okay, so while we are still waiting for everyone to join in, it would be great. We already know Dr. Banerjee, as Bhaskar sir introduced, but it would be great to hear where everybody else is joining us from. So meanwhile, if everybody could just put in their institution name in the chat box, it would be great just to know
Wonderful.
who all we have here today. And if we have any educators here, it would be great also to hear if they are Gen members. If not, we would love to have you on board. We will share the details and everything with you during the session. So my name is Sakshi. I am a part of the Environment Education Unit at CSC. And on behalf of my entire team, I welcome all of you to today's session. So if all of you could just put in a message about where you are from.
Somebody has started putting Dr. Priyambada.
Yeah. Thank you for starting, Priyambada ma'am. Everybody just needs maybe that push for somebody to start, and then the flow gets established. Okay. We will just maybe wait for a couple of seconds more. We already have the speakers with us, and we are all set to start. We have a variety of people in the audience today, as I can see. We have architects, we have somebody from the Tamil Nadu Science Forum, Delhi University. Good,
Dr.
great to have
Bhupinder, you can write. Dr. Bhupinder. Yeah.
Okay.
MET instead of
I think all of us are now ready to begin. So without further ado, I would again extend a warm welcome to all of you who took the time to join us today. And before we delve into the session that we are here for, let me take a moment to introduce the platform that's bringing us all together today, the Green Educators Network, or as we call it, GEN. So it is a community that connects college educators who are passionate about environment education. And our idea is simple: to build a collaborative space where teachers can share ideas, they can share resources, they can share practices, and learn from each other. So if you are an educator and are not already a member of GEN, it would be great if you could join us. We would put the form link in the chat box, maybe towards the end of the session. And today we are here for a session that is part of our ongoing monthly series. As part of activities that we do for the GEN network, we are doing a monthly series, Environmentally Speaking. It's been running for about 2 years now, approximately. And we have tackled various topics, various workshops. We have done various contests as part of this series. So with that introduction, I think we are ready to delve into today's session. Yeah, so today's session actually is a natural progression of what we covered in the last session. If you were there in the last session, you would know that Dr. Chong Shimre from NCRT was here, and she gave us a very broad overview of the environment education landscape in the country. So she discussed how environment education is not just about the scientific concepts of it, but also encompasses things like attitudes, behavioral changes, the values that we associate with the changes that we see around us, and the skills and competencies that we need to deal with these changes. So she said how true environment education comprises all of these, and it cannot only be catered through imparting just scientific knowledge. We also talked a little bit about the National Education Policy (NEP 2020), which advocated for the integration of environment education from the foundational stage itself. We discussed about the need to train teachers, specifically the higher education teachers, because students need to understand at the higher education level what are the environmental implications of the career paths that they are going to choose in the future, and they should be able to take informed decisions. So a lot of onus is there on our classrooms and our teachers now. Environment education, as I mentioned earlier, is not just about these concepts that we are teaching them. It also requires emotional connection. It requires contextualization, so that the children can be prepared to take action. They can be prepared to engage with the local community, understand their issues, and ultimately solve them. So with this background, today we have with us our speakers who are different voices from across the education ecosystem. We have with us Professor R. Bhaskar, Dr. Diksha Dave, and Chirag Anand. Wonderful to have all of you here today to share about your experiences, to share your thoughts. So once again, a warm welcome to all of you. I will just take a minute to introduce all of you before I hand it over to you. So, Professor Bhaskar was the chairperson of, he is the chairperson of the Regional Center, the Geological Society of India. He currently is with IGNU. He's a professor at IGNU. And before this, he was the chairperson of the Department of Environmental Science and Engineering at Guru Jambeshwar University of Science and Technology. So he's involved in the planning, the designing, the coordination of various UG and PG, as well as doctoral programs in earth and environmental sciences at IGNU. And he has an extensive experience working in the field with a variety of stakeholders. He has a lot of awards and recognitions to his name. So it would be wonderful to hear about his experiences in the field. We also have Dr. Diksha Dave with us, who is working as an associate professor of environmental studies at IGNU. She has a rich experience of more than 15 years of teaching and research in environmental studies. She's authored several papers, textbooks, and she has done extensive research in the field. And she's presented her work in several national and international forums, and has received various awards and recognitions. Very glad to have you here today, ma'am. And most importantly, whatever we discuss, whatever we do is ultimately for our students. So we felt it was imperative that we have somebody to represent the student community. We have with us Chirag Anand, who is a third year undergraduate student at Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Delhi. He is actively engaged in research work and community outreach programs at his university. He was also a participant in CSC's Agenda for Survival program that we conducted this year. and he has delved into a lot of community based issues during the program. He has written on them. So we would love to hear what the student perspective is on these issues. So that is the panel for today. It would be great if all of you could also contribute to the discussion. Please feel free to put your thoughts in the chat box. We would have a question and answer session at the end for sure. But the discussion would be enriched if you could also put in your thoughts wherever you feel the need to. The chat box is open for you. Now, without any further delay, let me start. So, Bhaskar sir, the national education policy talks a lot about holistic and experiential learning, and environment education fits right in that space. So, I would like to begin at the institutional level. We have talked about how there are various structural and systemic shifts that are needed for effective environment education. But what is your sense, having worked with different institutions across your career? How ready are colleges and higher education institutions in India to bring environment education in the mainstream curriculum?
Okay. You asked a question relating to this. If you permit, I would like to take 2 minutes to tell the global developments, because it will tell the context in which we are, progressing. It will take 2 minutes. And the first thing I would like to tell the audience is somewhere in 1972, we had the conference on human environment, and there they discuss the importance of education and awareness in environmental issues. And in 72 we had the establishment of United Nations environmental program, and again they talked about environmental education and training for sustainable development. Again, all of you know, in 1991 there was a PIL filed by advocate MC Mehta, and Supreme Court gave a landmark judgment that you have to introduce this. In 1994, UNESCO gave an initiative, Education for Environment, Population and Sustainable Development. Again, you will be, uh, the regulator gave the first circular in 2003, where a core module syllabus for graduate courses was introduced, and this was in response to 1991 court order. Again, UN in 2005 to 14 gave the decade of education for sustainable development to integrate sustainable development into teaching and learning process. And India committed to UN's 2030 goals in 2015. And that is where the Indian higher education institutions and universities should prioritize aligning with the relevant SDGs, because green economies require green technical skills and skilled workers. And as per ILO, we would have around 24 million jobs, and universities must upgrade their curricula and teaching methods, and higher education institutions play an important role. Simultaneously, in 2020, UGC also came up with a sustainable framework campus for HEIs, and they should include sustainability in their mission, curricula, research outreach. All these are there. Now you ask specifically about NEP, and I want to say NEP has been a important development as far as environmental education is concerned, because it aims to integrate sustainability and environmental awareness into curricula at all levels. If you see NEP 2020 particularly, it talks of multidisciplinary approach, and NEP 2020 encourages interdisciplinary learning, incorporating environmental studies into various subjects rather than treating it as a standalone topic. Again, NEP 2020, when you talk of that, it talks about experiential learning. The policy promotes hands-on activities like field work, case studies, community projects, to deepen students' understanding of environmental issue. The NEP 2020 mentions sustainability several times. The focus is on sustainability. It talks about global environmental goals, climate change mitigation, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable development. Again, NEP 2020 lays emphasis on vocational training, and NEP 2020 supports skill-based education, including eco-friendly practices and green technologies. In a nutshell, NEP 2020 integrates awareness into the curricula at all levels. The course covers environmental ethics and global responsibilities, and it expects that all higher education institutions will be sustainability advocates and practitioners. This is the role NEP 2020 has regarding the environmental education. So I just try to sum up the broad outline in the global level and how NEP 2020 has played a role. And the policy is very important. And I'm sure the spirit of the policy, if it is taken, it will have the desired results. But we will discuss during the course of the panel discussions what are the issues and challenges associated. Please.
Yeah. So, sir, coming back then to my question, how equipped do you think
Okay. If you see
uh,
the higher education institution, they are still not equipped. There are number of reasons. There are already overloaded curricula. There are limited resources available. Resources also include the laboratory resources, lack of appropriately qualified faculty teaching these subjects, and low social engagement of higher education institution in ecological projects, and limited investment into infrastructure of campuses. There are certain solutions, and we will discuss the solutions, but the problems are that except a few institutions, piecemeal progress has been done. The policy is in place, but the actual implementation, there are several bottlenecks, and we will see what needs to be done. If you want me to explain that, I can go, or you wish that this should be taken up in the next discussion. What
Sir,
needs to
one
be
thing
done?
that is coming to my mind is definitely when you talked about these gaps. So, what kind of infrastructure, what kind of teacher training
Sure.
infrastructure is required? Do you think?
Sure. Let me tell you, first thing, as far as faculty training and curriculum development is concerned, we should have several capacity building programs. Just like your CSE has programs, there are several TERI and other organizations giving UNESCO all these capacity building programs, where there should be workshops and certifications for educators on environmental sustainability and climate literacy. There should be an increased integration of green competencies across disciplines. It is not only environmental science standalone. Across disciplines, we should train educators on sustainability, relevance, and methodologies. We should have, as NEP says, multidisciplinary teaching methods, training faculty to integrate environmental topics into diverse subjects like economics, engineering, social sciences. We should incorporate sustainability across disciplines, ensuring students engage with environmental issues regardless of their major subject. If you see, there are a number of changes institutions can do with the policy. There can be a collaborative paradigm change, institution wise transformation. That means breaking down silos, encouraging interdisciplinary collaboration, integrating new methodologies. There can also be bottom up approaches. What are those bottom up institutional change? Faculty driven initiatives. There can also be top mandated change. These are administrative led policies which they give directions. There can also be externally driven initiatives. For example, the government may issue some order, industries may issue some order, or there may be influence of external stakeholders. Then there can also be isolated initiatives taken by faculty, and all these are required. We should encourage experiential learning in the subject. We should have community engagement, and we should have live-in labs and field-based programs which allow students to engage with real world sustainability challenges. And also we should develop student engagement strategies, so that, as you mentioned in your introduction, it is this, they have to get involved in the subject, and they should also be familiar with the policy which the government is taking ahead, like NEP 2020, including the institutions should be benchmarked for environmental courses, for the projects, for the research, for the outreach activities. There are large number of infrastructure requirements which are there required. Environmental laboratories are required, dedicated labs for climate studies, biodiversity research, pollution monitoring, climate science, and sustainable technology research. There should be research on circular economy applications which can influence industry practices. And campuses themselves should be green campuses, and they should practice and demonstrate sustainable practices, just like Anil Agarwal Institute has shown, by having solar energy, rainwater harvesting, waste management systems, smart campuses, electric vehicle, and digital resources should be available. And we should have collaboration with ecological reserves, national parks, environmental agencies, to promote social projects and hands-on field immersion programs. We should have interdisciplinary research hubs in the higher education institution where environmental science intersects with economics, policy, and technology. And there should be collaborative models where universities can work with government, with NGOs and business to drive sustainability beyond the academic boundaries. And localized curriculum should also be taken. For example, tailoring environmental studies to regional ecological concerns can, make interesting for the make it interesting for the students, and more practically application oriented for the society. So I think number of steps can be taken in all these activities.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You actually have covered a lot of the next question that I was going to ask. But the most important thing that aligns with NEP, as well as from what you said, is that environment education cannot work in a silo anymore. It has
Yes.
to be an interdisciplinary approach. Coming to you, Diksha ma'am. When we talk about environment education as an interdisciplinary thing, so in your experience, when we can easily see the connections between environment science and science as such, but what is the scope for connecting it to other streams? If you have any examples on how you have done it or how others are doing it in their classrooms.
Thank you, Sakshi ji, for inviting, first of all. As you rightly said, that environmental education or environmental studies per se does not occur in silos kind of a thing, because it is related to various other disciplines, I must say. First of all, look at the environmental challenges. They are also of varied nature. They are not confined to a particular discipline or subject. And therefore, these type of interlinkages, or you can say these type of collaborations, are very much essential, and they are very vast also. For example, look at the sciences. When you talk about sciences, it is very easily interconnected. It is very possibly, when you talk about pollution studies or climate change or energy related issues or biodiversity, when you are teaching, it is very easy to connect with the subjects like physics, chemistry, biology. Similarly, when you talk about the commerce streams, then it is related to, nowadays we are talking about ecological economics. Green businesses, the term is coming now. We are talking the corporates today, they talk about corporate social responsibility. In some way or the other, they have the hidden environmental issues behind it. Likewise, vocational programs, for example, architecture. There is a talk about green buildings, how you have to design the buildings in such a way that they are eco-friendly. Engineering, the various disciplines of engineering, whether it is the civil engineering or mechanical engineering, in every branch of engineering now it is said that we talk about the environmental conservation and how we can protect the environment. So these type of interlinkages are very much essential, because in the earlier times, environment was something which was considered to be related to either biology or geography. That type of thing was there. But today, when we when we know about environmental studies, it is very important to understand these type of interlinkages. For example, you have asked me in the sciences or in the school children, when there are topics, for example, related to sustainability and all, they are being taught under science subjects. However, in the social studies, they have the topics like public transport. They have the topics related to energy. So how do you bifurcate these? So we have to really understand that when we talk about environment or when we teach about environmental issues to our students, it is very important for us to make them realize these interconnections, that it is not a subject which is at the periphery. It is not an additional subject. It is not the subject where we have to just rote memorization of the facts, but rather it is the core of the sustainable development. As Bhaskar sir was telling, in the 1970s, when we started caring about the environment, that was environmental education. But later on, in 1992, there was a talk after Agenda 21, Education for Sustainable Development. The ESD came. So that shows that how we are moving, how it is essential that it is the core of all the environmental activities, that what we are being done, what kind of environmental challenges we are facing. And this is very true. Whatever the problems we are facing today, it is not possible to solve these problems thinking in a single direction. We have to take the inputs from various disciplines, that type of integration. As in this regard, the capacity building, the teachers training, all these things are very, very important. Because as educators, if we confine ourselves to the boundaries of a discipline, then definitely we will not be able to convey the message to our students that what kind of interdisciplinarity exists. So the type of the projects that we are assigning to our students, the type of exercises that we are giving, and very rightly when we are teaching about the environment. So local specific issues like water scarcity is there, pesticide pollution may be there, fluoride pollution may be there. We have to, as a teachers, we have to see environmental studies as a course curriculum has been given by UGC. But how it is being taught in the length and breadth of the country, that difference will be made by the teachers only. How we are catering to the local specific needs, what kind of topics we are giving, what kind of exercises we are giving, how we are orienting to our learners. So this is very important, and these type of interlinkages are very essential and must be done.
So, ma'am, one natural question that comes to teachers' minds when they hear about these kind of things like experiential learning or
Yeah.
connecting ideas to local context is then what do you do about assessment? What would assessment look like in such a classroom where environment education is
Definitely.
taught as a whole?
Definitely. That is the main problem with the environmental studies compulsory course. One of the major drawback is the assessment, because for an environmentally educated student or a teacher, we don't really want them to know about the environment. Knowing is a different thing. To know about the problems is a different thing. But what is expected is that they understand the environment. They understand the various processes. They value the ecosystem services. And most importantly, they know the solutions, what could be done. So in that way, assessment must break away from the normal evaluation of the rote memorization of the facts, definitions, and all that. But rather, it should be competency based. It should be holistic. It should be action oriented, so that we are able to understand that what student has actually grasped out of the environmental education sessions that we have given. So multiple things you can give the projects, so that we can check what kind of practical learning do they have. And in this also, this is very important that we have science stream. So for the science stream evaluation, we can make the students do certain experiments. If it is a commerce class, for the assessment, we can tell them to do certain audit. Or if there's a humanities class, we can tell them to write certain essays. We can have a debate competition. We can have presentation on various topics. So it is not that you have a 100 marks question paper, you distribute to all the students and we want them to write the answers. That is not going to work effectively. So
So then,
therefore, assessment must follow different methods. Give them projects, make them write answers, organize quizzes, debates, such kind of competitions. Take the community engagement also, that is also very important. How we can make them value based behaviors are very important. Informative and the summative mode of assessment, we have to see that we are following different types of assessment, that is very essential. And these assessments should be also tailored according to the conditions, according to the geography, according to the landscape of the region.
So then assessment also cannot follow the same pen and paper method that we have been following so far. Assessment also needs to be reimagined when we are talking about reimagining environment education as such. Ma'am, since you are working with IGNU, so a lot of interest is being seen these days in these distance learning programs. How do you think we can imagine environment education in the context of the distance learning space? What are the key components you think that should be there in the environment education curriculum that is designed for learners who are learning from a distance?
Yeah, definitely. Distance education has a benefit in terms of its wider reach, flexibility. We have so many learners, maybe they have a lot of information of the environment, but they're not trained. So in that way, IGNU pitches in because it caters to the learners of the various backgrounds. So we can loop in our open and distance learning systems to educate the learners more about environment, because we have because we are spread across the country, the flexibility is there, and there is a lifelong learning by the open and distance learning. When it comes to curriculum designing, the curriculum should be a mix of the content. We have to give them the cognitive knowledge, because environmental education is both cognitive as well as experiential. So
Hmm.
cognitive information curriculum must have these parts. It should have lot of emphasis on the project, field work, that type of things. And then we have to rope in, because if you talk about our university, we have regional centers, we have study centers. So there we can see that how the experiments are being conducted, what type of small field exercises are being done. And thirdly, most importantly, we must leverage technology, which is very, very important. How in our study materials we are using the QR codes to give them additional information, how we are using technology to pass on the information, how we are making use of the different type of multimedia resources, the audio video programs. So in that way, the curriculum, when it is being designed, this should be taken care that environmental education does not confine only to transmitting the knowledge or information or the fact checking, but rather we should use multiple sources. Because if we talk about definitely we have students which doesn't have any age bar, which are not at a particular location. So we use these technologies. We have our SLM, for example, it is there in the multilingual systems. It is translated, various of the programs are translated in various languages. So if the environment education is imparted through different languages, through different media, by the use of various technologies, definitely it has a more potential to reach out to the learners. And therefore, there is a promise, there's a hope that with open and distance learning systems, we are able to impart the environmental education more effectively.
Right. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Pranshu sir, for your contribution to the chat box. What you said is absolutely aligned with what Diksha ma'am just mentioned about the usage of technology and absolutely AI tools, which are going to be the future, I'm sure. So now I think it's time to hear a little from the student perspective. So Chirag, we have been talking about environment education. We have been talking about the climate crisis. We know that it can feel very overwhelming as a student. It's not just a topic that you read in a book and just forget about it, because it's a lived reality now. So, how do you think you and your friends, your uh, family members, how do you think they make sense of it? How students make sense of it in their own lives?
Uh, so like I'm that's as like a student, I will tell you all this thing like about the climate, how to make the sense of global climate crisis in everyday life, or we talk about climate anxiety that student face in their day-to-day life. Like I also experience climate anxiety in my everyday life, especially while traveling one place to another within the city only. It's not just a fear, but a deep sense of urgency to do something that cannot just benefit me, but those around me. One can try to make a sense it through even the most everyday action, how we travel, what we consume, the choice we make. But we also like need to realize a personal initiative must go in hand. What were the systematic change around us? Like for example, some steps that I have taken, like I try to walk nearby places. Beside this, in my own university as a like convener of NSS, we try to organize regular cleaners drive, plantation drive. Recently also, we have a plantation drive. So the small steps which we taken as like a student body or a student that need for the make sense of a global climate crisis. Like there is a crisis, we have to take action, and it's like urgency to take the action for like a sustainable life. So, and like we, as a student, with our university School of Human Ecology, we do many projects, and like a Dheerpur wetland project. It's in news in recent time. Recently, we plant there 200, more than 200 plants there. So, like the small step which taken by anyone, not by only student, but by anyone, it will be marked in for the future and for the present also. I'm reminding what like Vandana Shiva, an Indian activist, rightly said. Like I quote them: "In nature's economy, the currency is not money; it is life." That idea really shaped how I think about the global climate crisis we are facing today. Uh, while the anxiety which this global climate crisis give is real, and I also believe that the small steps and regular taking the steps, especially when done collectively, can help us reimagining the way we live and spread awareness around us through our action only. Not like we talk about, but we have to take the action. Not only we discuss or talk about such topic, but we have to take the action on this issue which we have facing today. So that's um, hello.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think there was some issue with my network. But if I understand it correctly, Chirag, you make sense of it by trying to do something about it, whatever is in your capacity. So, as a student body leader, you go out, you plant trees, you engage with the community, you try to understand their problems, and that I think is a wonderful place to start. What kind of support do you think students need in order to undertake these kind of activities to make sense of the crisis by responding to it? What kind of support do you think students need, particularly from their teachers and from the colleges and universities that they are a part of?
So like as a student is like now student is the urban youth. We like student is not just a leader or a member of any group, but also a navigating pressure. It's it's uncertainty and a world in a crisis. What we need is not just information. Like student not only need information or but need also about the climate education that is experimental, local, and empowering. At my university, under the NEP, my university introduced a course, environmental issue and challenges, that not only talk about like knowledge about the environment, but about the various fieldwork initiative that helped us engage in practical learning by implementing our existing knowledge. We get the new knowledge from the course, but that field work and that the practical learning which we get under this uh, NEP new courses is very crucial. That support which we get from our university, from UGC or from government, uh, more like support that government also provide us is like by organizing various conferences and webinars. Recently, I attend like a few months back. I recently attend the Green Hydrogen Conference, where multiple student activists and young change maker from the United Nations, from India itself, and many youth shared their stories on various initiatives taken by them. Uh, that thing realized me the growing importance of this platform, platform or forums CES also, were the youth of today seen as a leader and the contributor encouraging collective action. Through this webinar, conferences, panel discussion, we like get to know more about it and more about this crisis which we're facing today and what were the solution for that that we
Okay.
get from this only. Um,
So I think with that we have come a full circle with the what Professor Bhaskar shared and what Diksha ma'am shared, that environment education has to move away from what we are just doing so far about imparting scientific knowledge and just thinking that that is it. As Chirag has also mentioned, that it what we innovate in the classroom is also helping our students tackle their climate anxiety and deal with the climate crisis in their own way. So thank you, Chirag. I will now come back to you again, Bhaskar sir. So we have been talking about what are the different kinds of shifts that are needed, what preparation is required. You gave a very detailed list of what all things need to be done. Have you, in your experience, come across any institution that has implemented any of the pointers that you mentioned, or any success story that you've come across? Would be great to share if something of that sort is there.
Okay, Sakshi, there are many institutes which have, made enormous contribution. But, there are, when you see greenness, it is the courses, it is the projects, it is the community engagement, it is the awareness, it is so many things. Also, their own campuses, how they developed. If you see, number of universities and colleges are there which have made a name. For example, Terry School of Advanced Studies is offering graduation, post BSc, MSc, and PhD programs in environmental studies and climate science. If you see Tata Institute of Social Science, like Dr. Diksha mentioned, that it provides MA in climate change and sustainability studies. It does not mean it is only science, it has to cut across all disciplines. In fact, environment has to be the thread around which all things has to be revolving, because environment relates to survival, environment relates to economy, environment relates to future. So everything is related to that. Even our student member who is along with us, he has mentioned JNU is known for its robust environmental studies. They have wonderful labs, great researchers, and good facilities for doing the fundamental research. University of Delhi offers BSc and MSc in environmental science. If you see IITs, including Delhi, Kharagpur, Roorkee, they offer science, environmental science, and environmental engineering programs. Indian Institute of Science is another big institute which has environmental science and technology program. BHU is one of the frontier institutes which offers BSc and MSc degrees in environmental science. University of Hyderabad offers environmental science. Recently, I came to know it is in the pipeline. Just like we have 5-year degree courses in biotechnology and other courses, University of Pune is thinking of offering a 5-year program on, BSc, MSc integrated program in environmental science funded by Ministry of Earth Sciences. This is almost in the final stage, and those kind of programs will produce professionals. As Diksha madam mentioned, IGNU has a lot of online and ODL programs which create awareness and sensitize the public about environmental issues. If you see University Business School in Mumbai, they have topics like green marketing, green finance, green supply chain management. All these things are mandatory core part of curriculum, and they have beautifully integrated in their management courses. Again, Indian Institute of Management Bangalore has also done a lot of education into sustainability into the management courses, helping students understand how sustainability is important in business practices. And they have also implemented sustainability practices within campus, like solar panel, rainwater harvesting, waste management system, etc. All of these have implemented because of the continuous guidelines and push given by our regulator UGC. Again, WWF India Environmental Education Initiatives since 1969, they are doing a great job of focusing on awareness, skill building, conservation action, engaging students through nature clubs, digital platforms, volunteering opportunities, conducting quiz. Even Terry does a environmental quiz. Then environmental education program by Ministry of Forest, Environment and Climate Change. Again, is a non-formal education which integrates education into schools and colleges through eco clubs, workshops, exhibitions, and nature camps. It also supports behavioral change, which our panel member mentioned, initiatives like Mission Life. And you can see that a lot of policy support is being given by the government, directions are given by the government, and also many institutes have started implementing. And once we have the competent faculty, not in entire country, we have in selected institutes I mentioned. Once we train them, capacity building takes. Then what Dr. Diksha mentioned, the way we teach and evaluate will change, and that has to change if we have to really bring the future environmentalists who are sensitive to environment. And they need not be environmentalists, whatever field they are, they will be sensitive to the environment decisions they take which may affect the environment, because many times the people in the top position may not really understand the sensitivity of the issues regarding the decisions they take. For example, you close down a park and thinking you want to expand. In many places wetlands have been occupied and you don't know how much damage it is doing. There is a saying, when you eat the when the last well is dry, when the last fish is caught, then only you will know that you cannot eat money. And environment, if you manage well, it is a profitable business. If you damage it by unknowing, by not understanding it, then in the long run, it is, environmental economics should teach, like Dr. Diksha mentioned, you have to do the calculation. If you take care of the steps in the long run, how much you would recover. For example, simple case can be a solar panel. It's a cost, investing in the home, for example, or in an industry or an institution. It can be capital intensive, but over a long period of time, you are generating free energy, also not contributing to carbon emission. So all these things have to be taken into account, and only when we sensitize, when we be advocates, and when we be practitioners, and as Chirag mentioned, when we change our lifestyle in small ways what we can, then only there will be real impact of the environmental education.
Thank you, sir. That indeed was a very comprehensive coverage of what all initiatives are happening across the country, and very inspiring as well. It felt like you were speaking from a place of passion. So now, Diksha ma'am, coming to you. As an educator, as sir mentioned, that there are times when environment education, talking about environment protection, can feel very depressing. So as an educator, if there have been any small wins in your classroom that made you feel that what we are doing is worth the effort, if there have been any such moments, if you'd like to share something about that.
Yes, definitely, Sakshi ji. There are some students, there are certain incidents where we are bound to feel that what environmental education we are imparting, whatever little resources we have, that is definitely making a impact. Because nowadays, with the advent of technology, the youth of today, as Chirag ji, I can see, they are the change makers of tomorrow. So they are very much conscious about the everyday decisions which they make. And not only at the student level, I must say, that where informal settings also, wherever we get a chance to discuss about the issues, say about of plastic or waste disposal issues and all that, wherever it is being discussed, I am very much sure that the people are more sensitive, they are aware, and they want to contribute. That has always been felt in our classroom teachings also, that the learners, they are distant learners, they are far away, we do not meet them physically, but yes, whenever we talk about certain issue, they are ready to contribute whatever the profession they may have, because our learners are professionals also. So they are very keen to look at the solutions, they are very keen to know about that what could be done, what are the alternatives, and therefore we must tap on these curiosity of the young individuals. We must think that how we can bring it into mainstream, because in the coming times, environmental education, as it has evolved, I think it will be more technology enhanced, it will be more action oriented, it will make the learners more accountable. And that change we are already seeing from the times which are earlier. Today the youth is making the choices, the everyday choices which are eco-friendly. The customers today, now they are demanding the products, they are talking about the what is the carbon footprint and the ecological footprint of the products which they are buying. There's a lot of change happening with regards to usage of the certain products, for example single use plastics and all that. Government is playing its part through policies, through interventions. The corporates are playing their part. We as the educators must also play our own part to see that we are able to sensitize the young minds. If the school level also, you can see at the higher education level also, you can see that how we are able to pitch in. How it is not that we are scaring the generation about telling them that how the environmental disasters will take place. It is not like that. For example, simple changes in the terminology makes a difference. For example, you say pollution, instead of pollution, if you start saying that resource loss, that has a meaning. Because if you say the air is polluted, water is polluted, it means some other agent is polluted and we are not touched by it. But if you start telling that there is a resource loss, then it comes to our mind that something from us is being lost. So here the teachers, how we are communicating the information, that is very important. Not to scare the children, not to make them frightened about what the environmental issues, how the climate change is going to happen, how the cities will be drowned, how the glaciers are melting. It is not like that. But talk about the solutions. Think about the local specific solutions. In every individual, every hands make a difference. So not just the ecological footprint, but the handprint, what you are doing, that also makes a difference. So yes, there are success stories, there are enthusiastic learners, there are curious minds who are willing to learn more, who are willing to do more. And we as educators, with the help of institutions like CSC, definitely in future, we will be seeing a great change in the way environmental education is imparted.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Chirag, on that, continuing what ma'am just said, that we are hoping for a lot of change in the coming generations, not putting a lot of onus on the younger generation only, but have there been moments in your classroom where you have felt inspired to bring change to your everyday life? Any project that you were a part of, any particular activity that you were a part of, that helped you reassess your own practices and bring a change, howsoever small, to them? If you could share an example.
So, when we talk about the change occurred, like anything which happened to me and such things that make a change. But according to me, I have to talk about the responsibility youth have to take. Uh, like youth are now the center to this action, and not because the generation is affecting through it, but also the youth, the youth is connected and capable of creating the change. And we say climate action is not limited to being an activist. It involved looking beyond single issue and examine our everyday choice. As previously I told, the choice is important when we talk about climate and confronting overall the system. Like this, as a history student, I see the consequences that practice create a leading to an ecological collapse in the past. How the people treat the environment, this will decide how the long civilization will be taking place. As a better understanding, we utilize our resource today, but we forget about our future. Through academic research, I have realized that climate justice tied to social justice. Those who contribute fewest emission are typically impacted the worst. Uh, the particularly this shift towards a low waste lifestyle, which I follow to uh, more to be shift to low waste lifestyle and supporting local and ethical product as well as conversation and gathering around climate within my community. And it's our job, it's our duty as a generation to find a balance between non-serious and serious performative rather than sustainable, and informed rather than unfounded climate action. Climate action is not an option for us, it's our inheritance and it's our responsibility as a generation. And like I remember the quote by Sundarlal, one of the leader from Chipko movement. Uh, they said like, if you can't reuse it, then refuse it. The quote is shaping that current responsibility. Like, if I can't reuse that product, I have to refuse it. So
So
that's
that is definitely a small glimpse of how the younger generation feels the weight of the responsibility on their shoulders. Before we open the floor for the audience, Bhaskar sir, Diksha ma'am, just one last thought. What do you think is the role of youth in tackling the climate crisis? If we could just have a very quick response from both of you.
Yeah. I have listened to Chirag Anand. I got his perspective. Had an opportunity to listen to Neer Orion, Professor Neer Orion, who is chair of International Geoscience Education Organization, and he made a statement which made me think. He said, "It is not climate crisis; it is the educational crisis, that we are not able to educate our younger generation." Or the generation about the issues involved. If we educate them, then automatically they would fall in place, because they will understand they will take informed decisions. So I put more responsibility on educators, that it is a more educational crisis than any other crisis. If our school, colleges and universities sensitize the kids, right from beginning, I'm sure. And as Dr. Diksha mentioned, a big change is already occurring in many of the areas. But we want more changes, because the scale of the problem is so huge that it cannot, be handled just by 27% GER we have. Education also, we are in the higher education, we have 26-27% gross enrollment ratio. So that is another big issue. But I think if the education is in order, then things would be in perfect place. That's all I have to say.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. I think there was some connection error on Diksha ma'am's part. She will probably join again soon. But meanwhile, I will now open the floor for the audience. If you have any comments, anything that you would like to share, anything that you would like to discuss, please unmute yourself, and we can have a quick discussion. Yeah, you can also use the chat box if you wish to post your questions or your comments there? We have actually tackled a lot of content today. We have discussed a lot of issues. We have heard about the readiness of institutions in India to implement environment education as a holistic subject instead of just as an amalgamation of different scientific concepts. We discussed in detail about what the new paradigm of environment education would look like, what assessment would look like in this paradigm, and how creatively it can be integrated across different disciplines. We also heard how students are making sense of the climate crisis in personal ways by reaching out to their communities. So it was a wonderful discussion today. Would be great to hear if anybody has any comments. Okay, so Shalini ma'am is saying, I would specifically like to know approaches to be used in commerce classes to make it more interesting and engaging. Diksha ma'am is also here again.
Yeah.
If
Should I?
if you'd like to take this up, sir, yeah.
Yeah. See, if it is commerce, you could go for, how a circular economy will make the change in the model. So, like Chirag mentioned, that if it cannot be reused, you should not use it. So, you can have an exercise that if there is a circular economy, because in that, really nothing is a waste. One waste is a resource for the other. So, you can calculate examples by doing this. How, like this, you can think of some projects, how it will affect the commerce and how it will affect the accounts or the profit and loss, what you wish to do.
Right. Diksha ma'am, just to put you up to speed, we are discussing a question that Shalini ma'am has posed to know about approaches that can be used in commerce classes to make environment education more integrated, more interesting for students. If you would like to respond to that.
Yeah, definitely. Commerce students sometimes they have a reluctance towards studying the various topics of the environment which are there. And sometimes they do not relate directly to when we talk about ecosystems or biodiversity. They feel that it is of not much use to them in their career prospects and also when it comes to commerce students, we have to pick the topics. For example, the topics where we can discuss about the ecological economics, or we can ask them about that what are the risk benefit analysis of the different marketing and different operations which are there in the market, or how the green business works, what is the profit maximization, how does the raw materials get circulated in the economy, the circular economy as sir was mentioning just now. So therefore we have to choose the topics in this manner only. For example, if you're teaching ecosystems, so if we talk about the food chains and food webs like that, it may not be of interest to the commerce graduates. But if you tell them the topic and you describe the topic in such a way that what are the different links in the market, what are there, how they are connected to each other. So likewise, the demand, the supply, so that explains what is there in the food chain, the food webs. So likewise, we have to make them, it look like very interesting so that they are able to relate to it and they are able to understand it. So every topic, I think that should be tailored. If we go on by the same syllabus, same format of teaching, that won't work. And that creates boredom in the classrooms. To avoid that, we have to, that is why the role of capacity.
Okay, Diksha ma'am might be facing some network issues at her end. If there's any other question, I would request you to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask the question.
Pranshu Patel has raised his hand. He
Yeah,
wants to ask a
right.
question.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot for the rich discussion so far. I just wanted to invite like some reflection on like a potential tension I was sensing in how we approach environmental education. So a lot of the framing is around personal responsibility, especially in schools. It often feels like telling students what is wrong or right and what they should do or shouldn't do. I wonder if this risks isolating climate movement by making it more moralistic or individual focused rather than something we share or is a systematic experience. At the same time, we if we say we are promoting interdisciplinary thinking, doesn't it become counterintuitive to separate what individuals, corporates, or governments do as though they're disconnected from the climate movement itself or the environmental movement? So, like, shouldn't environmental education also be helping young people understand the systems they're part of and the powers they have within them rather than what they consume or what they behave on a day-to-day basis? So, yeah, just would love to hear thoughts on how we shift from responsibility to participation, like from guild to agency. But yeah, open to any one of the panels.
Yeah, can you? I couldn't get your point. Sakshi, could you just tell me
Yeah.
what is the?
So, from what I understood, I think Pranchu sir is mentioning that when we talk about environment education at the school level, and we are talking about, what they can do, what they are doing wrong, what they can do right, we are isolating them from the larger impact of the corporations and the industrial complexes that the impact that they are having on the environment. So how do we build a coherence between these two aspects? Is that right?
Yeah, almost. I'm just speaking from like personal experience. Like often going through environmental education, it feels like it's very much of like a guilt trip experience. Like you're just having like a moralistic conversations or individual focused conversations to students, telling them what is right, what is wrong, what they should do in a day-to-day basis and what they shouldn't do. And it often feels like a lot of people basically repel from that experience. They don't want to be part of that experience. They don't want to be told what is right or what is wrong, how they should live their lives in a day-to-day basis. They just want they if they're more concerned, they just want to be a part of a bigger experience rather than becoming a perfect environmentalist. So basically just trying to say like, can we not have more imperfect environmentalists essentially, which can also be a part of holding corporates accountable or holding governments accountable and being part of the movement rather than just being zero waste on a day-to-day basis and never using plastic or something else.
So yeah, this is again that age-old debate where we talk about individual action versus collective action.
Yeah.
So if anybody, Bhaskar sir, Diksha ma'am, if anybody would like to take this up.
I think there are policies in place. The question is only of spirit of implementation. There is accountability for all environmental actions, and you can see we have uh, so many cases where the agencies have been held responsible. Of course, we still have to be sensitive to implement in letter and spirit. As far as your saying is concerned about school and thing, I think more of rather than preaching, if more you're taken through eco clubs, nature clubs, and nature walks, those kind of experience, when you see something being done, that will sensitize you more rather than giving some talks which may put you off, as I understand from your message. Maybe Dr. Diksha wants to add something, she can add.
Sorry, there was internet connection disturbance. I couldn't hear. What I could guess is that how the students should be made to think more practically, apart from the theoretical lessons. That is an issue. Basically, for we have the credits.
Network issues there.
Yeah,
From
there's a network issue at your end.
Diksha ma'am, could you switch off your video, please?
Yeah, probably that would
That
help.
might
would
help.
make some sense. If we can bring them to the nature, sir was
Yeah, I think the issue is still there. So we could perhaps move on to the next one. Though just as something as off the top of my head, I think Pranshu sir, what probably would also help in bridging this gap between individual action and collective action is the focus on understanding the local community that we have been talking about. So not just adopting a zero waste lifestyle at your own home, but probably take it to a larger platform, and then that's how change gets amplified. So just providing that scope for that to happen could be one way to think about it. Anyway, any other question, reflection, comment? If anybody would like to say anything, we would be happy to hear. Otherwise, we would just close the session for the day. I can see a few comments in the chat box by Anil sir. In cases where the university syllabus is rigid, those college teachers who have already been trained and sensitized in environment education can start certificate courses in their department and customize the right syllabus based on local examples and teach students irrespective of their stream of education. That is absolutely true, sir. Personal
Yes,
initiative on the part of teachers is
yes,
an
yes,
imperative at
absolutely.
this point.
Good.
Right. If Prashant sir is here, if you could ask your question, because where is eco literature placed? If you could just give a quick brief of what do you mean by eco literature? Okay, so I think he's not here. Um, is he? Yeah, so I think we can close the discussion here for today. Thank you so much, Bhaskar sir, Diksha ma'am, Chirag, for joining us, for the wonderful insights that you have shared with us today. And this conversation was very enriching in the sense that it brought us back to that one important point that needs to be emphasized, that real change can only happen when different components of education system can work as a cohesive whole. When curriculum is not just a set of concepts, it aligns with what's happening in the classroom, and the classroom in itself is a space for learners to explore, to connect with the community, and to empower students to act. So I hope that the session gave you lots of food for thought, and we would be happy to hear your feedback. Please feel free to write to us. And before we sign off for the day, just a quick announcement for all the educators. We are very happy to launch a photo contest for college teachers, basically for all the Gen members. We would love for you to be a part of it. It's called Capture the Change. I'll put the link for the contest in the chat box. You can go and see the details there. It's basically an attempt to share photos that capture the change that you are bringing about in your classrooms on a daily basis. So any classroom activity, any field visit, any outstanding project, innovative project, or a creative teaching method that you have tried, any community engagement activity that you have done, we would love to see everything that you are doing in your classrooms to bring about a change. And we would need you to just give us the picture and a short description about what it represents. It is our attempt to showcase the amazing work that all of you are doing across the country in your classrooms on a daily basis. And we would love for you to bring your classroom into the picture. So yeah, we'll just put the link in the chat box. It's already there. You can just go and check the contest details. Only educators are eligible for this. I would like to re-emphasize that. And only educators are eligible to be part of the Gen network. So if you have not yet registered for the network, please do so. We will also put the form link in the chat box. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to contribute to our newsletter, if you would like to share anything, any feedback, please feel free to write to us. I'm just putting my email ID in the chat box. And I hope to see you in the next session next month. Thank you so much for joining. Good evening.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Sakshi and CSE and Tushita. And
Thank
it was
you.
a wonderful format, including student. That's, I think, a brilliant idea. I think they are the ultimate people who should be given the role in these meetings. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chirag.